I'm talking with my mouth full. What are you gonna do about it?
Everybody, once again, welcome to this version of reality. Leo All-Star here. How's everybody going? Well, obviously you're incredibly bored if you're listening to me. You went through all the other podcasts and other things to watch on the internet, on YouTube, and your DVDs, or Blu-rays, whatever the kids these days you're listening to or watching. But basically you ran out of it all, and now your blower just started. Now you're listening to me talk. Good for you! You've lowered your standards and expectations and allowed me one opportunity to entertain you for at least half an hour or whenever I stop talking. That'll be the limit. Maybe this is all I need to do. You know, just keep you entertained for however long until you find the courage to hit the stop button and say, what am I doing with my life? What the hell's going on? You know what? I gotta start making some changes here. From now on, no listening to this version of reality. I'm gonna live in reality. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get out. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do yesterday and the day before that. Or whatever the hell it is. Whatever the hell it was. Whatever the hell you're going to do. No, we know that's not going to happen. Because you're still listening to me, right? That's how it works. So what am I going to talk about tonight? Well, the only thing that seems to be on my mind. Analyzing the year of comedy. Well, not even a year. Not even that. We're heading into my 9th month, almost, in comedy. And as of this podcast, almost heading into Raw. Preparations, seriousness of it all. I mean, it hasn't really set in with me yet. But, I mean, it is with other people. When I've analysed my career thus far, going through each and every video of gigs that I dared to watch. Well, it's a hard thing for me to do. Self-analytics. I can't even say the word. Self-analyticness, whatever it's called. Self-analytical. That's it! Being self-analytical. Yeah. That word. Analyzing thyself and taking a look back, you know, the ones that I didn't bother to listen to. Clearly are ones that I just, you know, I've listened to them once, I brought myself to listening to it once, and never did again. Because it's a very hard thing to do. I mean, maybe it's the inner lack of confidence that's in there somewhere that's laying dormant. Or maybe it's just the fact that I really just didn't want to watch my old gig that sucked. Because let's face the facts, it was terrible. Who would want to watch something that's bad, boring, and you've already been there and seen it? You don't go to a movie theater and go, hey, you know, that movie really sucked. I think I'm going to go back and watch it again because it sucked so much. You just don't do that. I guess that's probably the more... I guess you could say the more logical way to look at it, you know? But I digress. Analysed each, and thank goodness that it's only a couple of gigs that have been bad. But I have analysed, and I have had, I've had probably 2 bad gigs at Newmarket, 1 bad gig at the Boundary, 1 mediocre gig, and I count that, at Stones. What was the other one? One bad at Magic Line. So, about, let's say, and plus another one that, probably 3 at Newmarket. And I don't say that necessarily because, didn't get laughs or anything. Well, we'll get to that in a second. But the self-analyst. I am very self-critical. And going back on all the previous, as of this recording, 41 gigs. But in the year of 2017, I'd completed 38 gigs. I believe it was number 38. Yes, 38 gigs. So 38 gigs completed. And out of those 38 gigs, I had 6 bad gigs. Out of those 6 bad gigs, 3 of them were because of in-work material that needed improvement to work over a tough crowd. And the other 3, let's just call it and say it's because I did bomb. I have bombed 3 times thus far. Now, in terms of me being self-analytical, that sucks. It really does. But a lot of people would be saying right now, only 3 out of 38. Are you kidding me? That you've bombed. And then 3 that were great. Okay. Well, what about the rest? Well, probably a few mediocre gigs here and there. 3 that had a heckler. 1 that was a violent heckler who tried to aggressively take the microphone from my hands, did not succeed. And out of that, then you've got regards, 32 gigs where you're getting average reaction or better than average. And at least out of all the gigs that I've done, listening back, probably 20 of those gigs, I'd say about 20. Yeah, I'd say 20. Maybe let's say, because then you include, because the first 12 still working the craft. Gig 13, and there were a couple of gigs here. See, I'm still analysing in my head. Maybe I just need to stop that. Stop being so self-analytical, because I just lost a few viewers right there. Scrolling through. But analysing a bad gig, having to go back, because the good gigs are very easy to analyse. They're very easy for a lot of people, But analysing a bad gig, that's a hard thing. To go look back on it, to look back on your performance, and have to concede that you just sucked. That it was just bad, or that perhaps just one element of it was bad. Maybe that night, that moment, that time, that audience just wasn't there really for comedy. But were you still able to get a reaction? If the answer is yes, you count that as a victory. If not, well, maybe that tough crowd is just what you needed to basically move a rock of a crowd. They won't budge unless you move them. To basically move that crowd, get a reaction out of them, means that if you get that easy crowd then, you're going to get standing ovations and auditions and everything else in between. But what can I say about the gig that I just performed? Won't tell you where, won't tell you when, won't tell you how, but I will say it was a tough room tonight when I did it. But at the same time, I did get some good laughs. I got some reaction out of it. It wasn't the same as the week before, where I documented how my best gig ever, where I did the Stones Corner. And it was over maximum occupancy. The crowd was eating it up, eating everyone, if it was good, of course. And everyone was on, and it was dubbed as my best, my best set ever, my best gig ever. Great performance for number 40. Excellent work. Kind of put the damper on my plans and which routine I would do for Raw. I guess that's a decision that I had to make, and one that I think that I will definitely know before the day. And that's the other thing, because I also had to analyze my best gigs. And what I did, because I'm very self-analytical, from my martial arts background, from my running background and everything else, I set a goal for myself here to be better than I was, to be better than I was before, to be the best that I can be. In athletics, when I was still actively competing, my aim, my goal would be to reach a certain time. But ultimately, it was to break a PB. But if I didn't reach a certain time or standard, I got angry at myself for underperforming, because I knew that there's some way that I could have done better. There was something that I could have done. Somehow I should have performed better. Now, martial arts, well, that's very easy. You get hit a few too many times, well, you get the struggle and the agony along with the pain and the, oh, well, it's pretty obvious where I made the mistakes. See, I didn't block the punch coming towards my face. And now not only have I got disappointment on myself, I have a bruise around my eye, or as the kids call it, a black eye. But some things definitely are easier to analyze than others. Most definitely. How do you analyze a good performance? You've done well, but where can you improve? And I have a habit of doing that. I've had a habit of just going through it all and tweaking things. A couple of times that I did tweak things in the early goings, and even in the late goings with an old routine that I pulled out, and tweaking it a little. It's made it worse instead of better, even though the material is better and it's more packed and everything, but it's just like, well, unfortunately it just didn't get over the way it should. A bad gig. What is a bad gig? What do we know about bad gigs? Well, a bad gig can either be from a bad performance, or it could just be just a crowd that just wasn't really there for the comedy. Sometimes it could be both. That's what makes this whole thing just very introspective. Because if you're getting a reaction out of a bad crowd, you've got to count that where it is. But then at the same time, there's the realisticness of the situation where you go, okay, that audience that I had on this night reacted to this material. However, this audience only reacted to that material. But both audiences reacted to the same stuff. But in this part here, there was no reaction. So is there a way that I can fix it? Should I take that bit out in between so that everyone gets a reaction? Find something where everyone laughs, not just one group or one certain, demographic. It's really a tough thing to do. Using your own judgment, being the good judge of your own material. And I've spoken about this time and time again, or maybe I haven't mentioned it, but there are some people, obviously I'm not going to name names, obviously, but it happens everywhere, where you get that one person, or a few people, that just blame the room when they shouldn't, or maybe blame their performance when they shouldn't. But more often than not, it's about blame the room. And the delusion that, well, some that are like, well, I did good, when unfortunately the performance says otherwise. Or some that say, oh, that was an excellent reaction, go back and do the same thing over and over again, expecting just the crowd to eat it up and laugh. And there are certain crowds that will find certain topics and certain material funny. But what I don't understand is, why do people wait for that good crowd to come around and then they pat themselves on the back and go, well, see, I know, I told you it was funny. It's like, yeah, but if you're in the entertainment industry or in part of that, the idea is to make every single crowd, every single person, or as many people as possible laugh. And I'm not going to say at certain topics, certain jokes, certain things aren't funny. But if the crowd, the majority, aren't laughing, then it's just not funny enough. It's not. And it's not me critiquing anyone in particular. That's not even me bagging anyone. That's not even me bagging myself. Trust me, I'm very good at it. I'm very good at freaking picking the crap out of myself. Critiquing the hell out of myself. I'm my own worst critic. And even at good gigs, where it's done well, I've ruined it for myself because I've missed one joke or stuffed up a word or something happened, and then I go, oh, god damn it! And it's like, what? I missed this! That's the joke of it all as well, just a little segue. Like, people have commented on the fact that, hang on, you remembered your routine that well that you remember what you forgot. It's like, yeah, I forgot this. Like, freaking pissed off at myself now. Like, oh, but everything else was good. It's like, but I missed out this bit. It was a good bit. It was a good joke, or this word, I stuffed it up, or this part here, I mixed it up. I mixed up the order or something like that. And then I'll just harper on that, and it's like, right, the next time, that's what I got to fix. I can't focus, enjoy the moment, of course, but not let it get to my head and go, well, that was awesome. It's like, no, even at my best gigs that I've done, I just have this thing where it's like, being a bad sport is obviously not in my nature. Throwing a tantrum, basically kicking stools down and throwing bottles, or just, getting aggressive and swearing and muttering and all that, that's not really in my nature. Maybe in my head, maybe to myself in solidarity. Hell, maybe I'll do it here on this version of reality. Provide some entertainment. Live on this version of reality, Liam All-Star loses his goddamn mind. No, but also just with a good gig or a good performance. I don't like to celebrate too much. Like, I don't really go out of my way. Like, with my good gig at the Stones Corner, it's probably the most I ever celebrated, because I had that much energy and just, I was that ecstatic and happy that this particular routine that I tried there, which is formerly now known as the Holiday Bin Day routine, which killed it with the audience. Absolutely best reaction I've ever gotten in the audience, has perhaps surpassed my two other great routines. And that's saying something. Talking about the self-analyst, the biggest, worst critic of thyself. And I basically, off the stage, maintained my composure, got off the stage, shook the sound guy's hand, told me, great job, great, best gig ever. And I was just happy that I remembered it all and I got it in the first go. And I basically punched the air down where I was, and like, yes! And then after that, it was like, well, back to normal. I mean, sure, maybe I had a bit of a smile on my face. A couple of people were like, oh, get that little grin off your face. Like, but in terms of other people, where probably it's like, they can't contain themselves, all giddy and screaming and, just happy and hugging and, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Ah! But that's not me. That's not even, even just a slight celebratory, like, that was just probably the most that I've probably celebrated in a long time. That's saying that. But then I went back and I watched the gig. I watched it a couple of times. And my best gig ever. I went back and looked at it. I was like, see? You stumbled over your words there. Oh, look at that. See, that didn't work. They're like, what is wrong with you? Enjoy the moment. No. You know what? Moment's over. Now we're into moving forward. Now we're going to get to the next stage. We're moving on. You know, can't live off that same success forever. We've got to move on to the next thing. Always adapt. Move forward. Progress. So even had a good gig, analysing the crap out of it, finding the smallest little faults. I'm very good at that. I'm very good at picking people's faults, but I'm also very good at picking people and their positive qualities. Safe to say, I'm just very good at analysing people. Maybe that comes from my martial arts training. Maybe it comes from the fact that I've had my parents as my parents. Maybe it's to do with the fact that I've always had to be on my toes from bullies and thugs and others, and having to keep them off my back, and being successful at it, and basically throwing it back in their face so much so that they would stop bullying me. You know, they'd try and get that one little jab, that one comment in, and then, you know, like for example, one of the comments that I used in my original form, the game routine, I actually mentioned it and said how in high school, one of the insults that boys, I call it, barely even use that term, those little, those boys, those teenage boys, it's like, oh, you're gay. And my response was, of course I'm gay. I was gay with you last night, remember? And the look on their face, just sort of shock, where it's like, it's like, you find out who's got the thickest skin and wants to stick it forward and, stick to their so-called conviction of, oh, he's gay, and then I turn it back on them, because the only way you know that is if you were gay with me, that sort of thing. And then they walk away, it's like, where are you going? Come back, I thought you loved me. Things like that. And being able to pick apart people, being able to analyze, it's about, that, I guess you'd say that Hawkeye, that off in the distance. Another time, I guess you could say, you see certain things, certain behavior, certain, character traits of people, but not only that, just the way a person acts, the way a person conducts themselves, what they're doing, or rather what they're not doing in the same situation, what they're saying, or perhaps even what they're not saying. There have been times where I've seen things that others haven't. I picked certain people's attitudes up, and it's like, they're up to something. It's like, how do you know? It's like, because just the way that they're, just the facial expression, their demeanor, this person doesn't want us around, and this person is up to something. Analysis, I still can't say it. Analysis. Maybe I should spend the rest of this podcast saying the word analyst. What the hell am I even talking? Analysts. Analytical. Analyze. There we go. I think we're back on track. But even in my situation, with all my training and all this and all that, there are things that sometimes I just generally miss. Some things that I maybe happen to overlook. And, from time to time I then analyze that. Analyze myself in real life. What could you have done to change that scenario so that it never happens again next time? Like if someone tries to attack me. I guess in the comedy scene, the best example and only example, hopefully the only ever example I have, was that guy who was offended at my joke, was the only one who was offended by my joke, so much so that he decided to try and come up and grab that mic and yank it out of my hand. It didn't work. Wasn't able to take the mic from him. And he copped a gobful from people in the crowd. It was removed from the venue. It didn't go for any further than that. But then the fact that, they're saying that, you maintained your composure, you didn't punch him, you didn't shy away or run off the stage or anything, And it's like, my eyes were just fixated and focused on this person. But then in that situation where everyone's saying, you dealt with that real well, you did the right thing, I can't imagine anyone else, that probably would have been it. A couple of people were even saying, if that happened to them, they probably would have lost their nerve and wouldn't have found the courage maybe to go back on that stage at that venue again, and they're asking, am I okay? Oh my God, you seriously, you're fine. It's like, I'm the only one with a level heart rate here. But even analysing that scenario, which I have had to do from time to time, with regards to, because in comedy, that night turned into a martial arts scenario. And I am good at both. That's not me exaggerating. I say good at both. I'm going to say great or excellent, a martial arts master or a comedy master. No. Both I'm training at, both I'm getting better at as time goes forward. That's an honest opinion of myself. But still, I'd like to get there faster. I'd like to be better than I am right now. But I digress. Once again, we're talking about the guy and the fact that he was, light was in my eyes, but I still wasn't really focusing on, perhaps where I should have for safety's sake. And when I noticed him there, he was already 2 meters away, and he was able to grab the mic because, without knowing, I had myself already in a defensive position just in case something happens. And by doing so, sticking my front hand out in that defensive position, maintaining just a small stance, and my hands sort of up, not in full martial art mode, but basically in, pre full stance mode, whatever you want to call it, and the fact that he was able to actually grab the mic and grip the mic and attempt to yank it out of my hands and take it into his and whatever he was going to do at that time. He didn't get possession of the microphone, but what he was able to do was grab the microphone. And because of that, that's obviously something that's, in my view, I've got to fix for next time. But some people would say, oh, no, everything was fine, everything was good. It's like, no, the next time, I got to make sure that if there ever is a next time, I'm, fingers crossed there that it isn't, but you can never be too sure, and if it ever does happen again, we're going to make sure that the guy can't even get the mic, or that I'm that aware that he's in my sight, my field of vision earlier, and that I can either make preparations earlier than I was able to, defeat the fact that the light was, the spotlight was in my face, and the fact that I had a microphone in my hand, which meant that one hand was occupied and the other hand was free, but still one hand occupied. So it puts me in a slightly precarious position, and also the fact that, I did have the higher grounds, but at the same time, if he was able to utilize the lower part, where he was on the ground level, I was elevated because it was on a stage, but still, it could have utilized that and made it so that it was a weakness being up higher. There are things that I had to analyze and make sure that it doesn't happen the same way again, if it ever does happen again. Preventative measures to ensure that it doesn't occur the way that it did. Just a little bit of drink there. I just did a Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? Yeah, sort of. Well, not quite, because Stone Cold Steve Austin, by the way. What am I talking about? I'm just going off the cuff right here and explaining myself. Stone Cold Steve Austin, former active wrestler in the World Wrestling Federation, which is now obviously World Wrestling Entertainment, the WWE, and multiple-time world champion, Hall of Famer, three-time Royal Rumble winner, blah, 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 etc., etc. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time, one of the greatest in-ring characters of all time, has a podcast. There's a plug for you for another podcast that maybe, if you want to listen to the Steve Austin show. He's also got another one, Steve Austin Unleashed, which is obviously, one is family friendly, that one is not. But one of his little, gimmicks on the show, I guess you could say, not so much a gimmick, but just an action, is that he'll basically go and, if he needs a drink of, water, and, I guess on the family friendly version, like, hey, this is family friendly, so they take a sip of water. It's a swig of water for the working man. I guess on the Unleashed show, I guess he has a habit of drinking more water than beer these days, but on a couple of the Unleashed shows, like, swig of beer for the working man. That's my best Stone Cold Steve Austin impression as well. How do you like that? Oh, hell yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It's the best goddamn impression. Oh, God. If I don't freaking... Oh, you're getting everything in this episode. You're getting analyzing, just me analyzing my performance in 2017 on my gigs, my self-analyzing of what I've done, and I've made impressions, I've gone into detail about certain topics, I've taken a drink of Sprite, which is what I got on me, and I almost choked. Not because I took another sip of Sprite, but because I tried to do an impression of Stone Cold Steve Austin as accurate as it was. It was so accurate that I almost became Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think I became Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, God damn it, he almost choked to death. Oh, damn. What are they going to say about that poor son of a bitch? Oh, you won't know how he died. God damn, that son of a bitch choked on his own entrails. He choked on his own. You know what? Enough. No more. My throat's too dry for a Stone Cold Steve Austin impression to go further. I'm going to swing right back to analysing my gigs again. Because, here, look at radar. A little mobile radar. Yeah, in case you didn't guess it as well, this is another On the Drive Home edition. Seem to be coming out with a few of those lately. A couple of custom commentaries and some On the Drive Home podcasts. These are quite fun though. Helps me preoccupy time and provides some content for your boredom while curing my own boredom, or at least distracting myself from the fact that I've got a bit of a drive to go on the drive home. Allows me plenty of time to talk, and now I'm prattling. I'll get back to the point. Well, out of all the gigs that I've done, so I have in 2017 further analysis. Further analysis. God damn it, I still can't say the word. God damn it, you stupid son of a bitch. I said no more Stone Cold impression. Oh, you got no jerk. Okay. Focus. 2017. I, in that time, put forwards, I believe it was 12 to 13 different routines. 12 to 13 different routines. The first 10 weeks of my career, I was doing, I've mentioned this before as well, just different material each and every week. And then started to run a bit dry, and a couple of them didn't work, but still 10 routines. And what happened was I went back, worked on the car park routine a little bit, decided to put that on the shelf. Instead went to my best routine, that was the gay routine, and it ended up being a bad routine that night. People laughed at certain jokes, but they weren't receiving it as well as it should have. Combine that with untested material from an incomplete routine known as the, dubbed the LA routine, but was going to be known as the marriage equality routine, and combined that with the gay marriage equality routine to become one of the best routines that I ever had. And then went back and worked on the car park routine, and that was the second best routine that I ever had. And then before I closed out 2017, tested out what is now going to become and is now being tested 3 times, and unilaterally got pretty good response, pretty damn good response, I dare say, very good response. My bin holiday, my holiday bin day routine. That's it. That's 3 routines that unilaterally tested before every audience. 3 routines out of about 12 to 13. I'd say about 12 routines. 7 that I put. 7? What was it? Yeah, 7. There I go again. Really should have written this down. 7 just. Yeah, it was 7. Maybe it was 6. No, 6. Yeah, 6. 6 other routines which have since been shelved, haven't really been worked on because I've been busy working on and putting through the circuit for a month and a half, the gay marriage equality routine, and then a month and a half, the car park routine. In between, trying another couple of routines which ended up having to be thrown out. So we could say about 3 to 4 discarded routines. 3 that worked, so that brings on 6, and about another 6 or 7 that are on the shelf currently. In terms of routines that I have then gone to take into the circuit and work on, 3 that work absolutely 100% every time, and 3 that worked once, maybe got a bit of a good response from one room, or a bit of a good response from another, or a couple of them that just wasn't really too happy with the amount of reaction it got, just wasn't good enough. But basically, took about 3 to 4 routines that are basically discarded, and so safe to say, out of all the routines that I've done, 1/4 of them are an absolute success. So that's at least 25% of all the routines that I've tested. Now that's a figure that I would like to definitely fix before I actually end up in my 1 year of comedy. Because I've been doing comedy 8 months in 2017, heading into my 9th month shortly. As soon as it hits May this year, it'll be 1 year for me, but still counts as 2017, the year of comedy that was in 2017. 25% success rate in terms of overall all routines. But the ones that I've taken through the circuit, basically 3 to 3 or 3 to 4 ratio, probably I'd say 3 to 3, so probably about a 50% success rate that I've had with my routines. Now what the hell does that all mean? Self-analyze. I've gone through everything and analyzed, and I've even done up draft sheets, and I've got notes and everything, testing jokes on people. Everyone's probably getting sick of my presence now because they seem to think that I'm testing my material on them always. But in reality, I'm just creating conversation, and I just happen to be funny. But then there are other times where, I'm testing material on you. Or, in certain scenarios, a conversation that I've had with someone has been that entertaining and funny to everyone around them and to us, that I've gone and stolen that and taken that, and that's then become part of a routine or something that I dare to test. Like one of my jokes, that I tested out, the female crosswalk signal joke. I tested that out on people before I tested it out on an audience. When I tested it out on people, freaking everyone lost it. Like, as in, they just couldn't stop laughing. Like, it was just funniest thing they'd heard up to that point, or at least during that day, that whole day. And then tested it before the first crowd, and it was like, ooh, it was like big controversial for that audience. And then the next one, oh, and then some laughs, and then the next one, you know, there were laughs, and there were a few people like, oh, and then, you know, different crowds, you know, it's definitely a controversial joke, not because it's intentionally stepping over any lines. In fact, it really isn't. It's just tongue-in-cheek, but still, that's a joke that's caused the controversy. For the guy to come up to me and try and assault me, for the people that have gone, oh, that's oh, and and that sort of thing. You know, it's either a joke that you like or a joke that you hate, but either way, it'll be a joke that you'll be talking about with your friends at work tomorrow, or wherever the hell you happen to be. Maybe you're sitting at home on the knoll doing nothing, and you wake up in the morning at about 11 o'clock, and then you laugh at the joke, and then you go back to sleep and wake up again at 1 o'clock, and then you're late for your appointment for Social Security. So you ring it up and say, I'm just sick, bruh. Yeah, couldn't make it. It's just too sick. Sick, man. Yeah. But overall, because I'm also coming to the end of this drive, I've had a lot of time to think and reflect and look back, and, you know, there's certain reactions as well. People who laugh at certain material, you know, I've even had a couple of times where, you know, the way people laugh as well, analysing the way people react in an audience is also very important. And I guess that's a good thing as to why I record every routine. One is so I've got a record of it, because in the beginning I did things in the reverse order, and I still kind of do, where I will have jokes in my head, and I will run the routine over and over again in my head. In fact, at the very, very beginning, I wrote nothing down at all. There was never even a trace of the routine. So I went before an audience completely raw and did the routine and remember what I said in my head mostly. Some of it, wording was a bit altered, and a couple of things were ad-libbed, and maybe I threw something in improv to try and get a bit of a laugh, and it worked. But I would also record it so that I had a record of it, so that I could go back and improve it. So I guess it streamlines the whole process of, first you come up with an idea, then you write it down, then you formulate it, word it right, and then before you know it, you've got a routine, you record it, and then you watch yourself back on it, and then you test it before an audience. I just streamlined that whole process just by going, yep, I'm just going to do that in the audience right now. Never done it before, doing it right now. New 5 minutes, let's go, record it all at once. Crazy way of doing things. Which is why I was so ecstatic that, like I said, the Stones Corner gig, that, in the last couple of gigs that I've done as well, new material that is just blown audiences away. Absolutely. Although I guess you could say that I have had stuff in note form now, but I did it in the reverse order. And I guess you could say that the first reason is also so I've got a record of it. That's why I record first and foremost. Secondly, and most obviously, so I've got a record of it, an extension of the first reason is that now I've got a record of it. If anyone steals my material, I've got evidence, exhibit A and exhibit whatever. But third and best reason, of course, is that so I can look back and analyze everything, myself and the audience as well. Because there are times where, a certain kind of laugh from an audience, a certain kind of reaction, are they laughing at your joke or are they just laughing at you? If they're laughing at your joke, are they laughing at it because it's funny or because it's controversial or because, they're maybe just making fun of your joke or your attempt at humor? Or are they laughing at you because you did something funny, because you made a funny face, because you made a funny reaction, because you just popped them, said something to them, or because, once again, they're laughing at you and they're making a mockery of you, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's basically, I'm just about to drive up to me home, so I think that's pretty much going to settle it right there. I filled up. What do you know? It took me 44 minutes to drive from the parking lot that I was in, Surfers Paradise, back to wherever the hell it is I live right now. But yeah, there's a good analyst. I give up. You know, you say the word. A good analysis of everything. And I guess in this version of reality, analyzing yourself in every way, shape, and form is a good thing. I guess you could say that on the drive home, everyone got a little bit of an analytical perspective of things. Well, I'm going to get out of the car right now and, open the gate so I can get back into my home. So I'm going to have to close out this podcast, whether I've finished my point or not. I've done podcasting. Thank you all very much for listening to this version of reality. And as always, if you like it, like, share, subscribe. And as always, my name is Liam, and I will see you guys next time.